Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, January 20, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you guys utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below, let me know what the that's been like in your ear recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro model that came out at 3:30 p.m. today, as well as the latest GFS model that came out at 6 p.m. today. So keep your eyes focused right here at the timestamp as we go out to the next 168 hours. That's the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the greens into the yellows into the oranges and reds that represents inches of rainfall. So we can see that as we head into Tuesday, we do see some dots of greens that represent some isolated showers, especially on the northern side of the island during the early morning hours. Then maybe some isolated showers across the western portion of the island during the afternoon. We can also see an abundance of moisture off the east coast of the US down into the southern US, across Florida and the Gulf of Mexico, associated with a frontal system. Heading into Wednesday, we see some isolated showers as represented by those greens across eastern Jamaica. We also see some of it spilling into central and western parishes during Wednesday afternoon. Very interesting. Heading into Thursday, not seeing much of anything across the island, more whites than anything else. That represents little to no rainfall at all. Thursday, something similar. Friday, we see the moisture right here to the south of Jamaica, stretching all the way to the south of Hispaniola, all the way over to the Windward Islands. Very interesting. And we can see that as we head into Saturday, we have some moisture affecting the northern coast of Jamaica. We also have a lot of moisture across Central America, Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, right there. A lot of moisture to the south of Jamaica, Hispaniola, and Puerto Rico. Heading into Sunday, still see a lot of moisture on the northeastern side of the island. We also see an abundance of moisture across eastern Cuba, northern Hispaniola, to the northeast of Puerto Rico. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid from Monday, January 27. And we can see some moisture right here across Texas. We can also see some moisture across the southern US, reaching all the way over into Virginia and North Carolina. We can see some moisture here and there scattered for sure across the Caribbean, especially to the north of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola, some of it across Belize as well. Let us see what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest GFS. So we can see that as we head into Tuesday, we see that moisture that's going to be plaguing the southern US, the Gulf of Mexico, Florida, off the east coast of the US for sure. We can also make out that isolated shore activity that should be affecting section of northeastern Jamaica as well. Heading into Wednesday, we see that we won't be receiving much of anything. We see that there's some contrast because the Euro was showing some rainfall across section of the island on Wednesday. GFS not so much. Thursday, not seeing much of anything at all, more whites than anything else. Heading into Friday, we see some dots of greens across section of the island. This is valid for 0Z on Saturday, which is actually 7 p.m. on Friday. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, we can make out a lot of moisture across the southern Gulf, section of Central America, Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. We can also see some moisture stretching from the Windward Islands to the south of the Dominican Republic right there. Even into Sunday, we start to see some moisture plaguing northeastern parishes in Jamaica for sure. We're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours And we're seeing some similarities for sure. That rainfall that's going to be plaguing the southern US from Texas all across the southern US states into portion of the eastern US. And we can see the scattered moisture here and there, ranging from Central America all across the Caribbean. But regarding where most of the rainfall is expected within the next 7 days, both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall expected from now until January 27. And we know the most rainfall is represented by what we see here on the key on the right. That's the reds, the burgundies, the purples, the pinks, the peach colors. That represents inches of rainfall. And we can clearly see that the most in the way of rainfall should be plaguing all of those areas where we see the dark reds into the purples and the pinks. And we see that it's definitely going to be lashing these areas that we're about to highlight right here. We're referring to eastern portions of the Yucatan, section of Belize, northern Guatemala, northern Honduras, eastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, sections of Colombia. We can also see an abundance of moisture increase across portions of the northeastern Caribbean. We're talking about French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, section of southern and eastern Venezuela, sections of Trinidad and Tobago into the Windward Islands for sure. We can see an increase of moisture across eastern Puerto Rico, northeastern portions of the Dominican Republic. And if we take a look at the Euro model right here, we can see that there's consensus, there's agreement on both the Euro and the GFS supercomputer model in terms of that rainfall forecast. So there might be some amount of isolated flash flooding taking place in those spots for sure. So I hope that the people who live in those areas are taking the necessary precautions so that they're not that drastically affected by what's to come. Taking a look at the close-up of Jamaica right here regarding our 7-day accumulated precipitation forecast, we see that there's not much change. Most of the rainfall is still going to be plaguing northern and especially northeastern parishes, as we can see the dark blues into the greens, the yellows, slight oranges that represents all the way up to 57 millimeters of rainfall on the Euro. GFS a bit more reserved, showing that northern Jamaica should be receiving the most rainfall, but clearly Portland gonna be receiving the most, all the way up to 29 millimeters of rainfall. We'll see exactly what unfolds, and I'll definitely be sure to keep you posted with what occurs. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see a ridge of high pressure right here that's responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can see the tail end of a cold front stretching all the way from the northeastern portion of the North Atlantic all the way down to the north of the main development region, and another frontal system right here stretching all the way from the northern portion of North Atlantic right here to the east of the US, all the way down to the Bahamas and western Cuba. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out the clouds associated with these entities. First of all, the clouds associated with that frontal system right here, reaching down to the north of the main development region, as well as the clouds associated with that frontal system for sure, reaching all the way across the Bahamas into portion of northwestern Caribbean. And we can definitely make out that low level flow of the low level to mid level rain clouds for sure, pushing through the Caribbean as we speak, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure that's up north, sending all of these entities towards that direction. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean today later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, January 20, 2025. It was stated that rain was in the forecast for parts of eastern Jamaica during the early morning hours of Monday, also affecting sections of some western parishes during Monday afternoon. And we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, while western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? A post was made here on our Twitter page at around 4:45 a.m. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page, Weather Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page, weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page, Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page, Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we may post throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can see the post that was made at around 4:45 a.m. highlighting that we're definitely getting on some amount of clouds bringing some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers during the early morning hours for sure, pushing from east to west, definitely across eastern Jamaica at first. Some of these clouds definitely pushed into sections of St. Mary, St. Anne. Some of these clouds were definitely passing to the south of us as well, maybe clipped southern Clarendon, southern Manchester, southern St. Elizabeth. We definitely saw some moderate to heavy rainfall within those bands to the south of the island as they quickly pushed off towards the west northwest. So that indeed confirms the rainfall for the morning. But during the afternoon, remember, it was forecast that would get in on some isolated shores across the west, and we indeed got that because we got some clouds building across sections of Westmoreland as well as western St. Elizabeth, or northwestern St. Elizabeth for sure. And we can see it even better on the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down. Look at this spot right here across Westmoreland and northwestern St. Elizabeth. You can see the clouds building. Definitely had some isolated shower activity across those spots for sure. Even had some clouds out to sea to the west of Negril, bring some rainfall to the waters out there as well. And if we take a look at the infrared close-up satellite imagery, not seeing much in the way of cloud cover at all, just those clouds pushing out towards the west as we stated, as we saw on the visible satellite imagery. Taking a look here at the panoramic city view from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, we can see that as we look towards New Kingston today at around 1:45 p.m. definitely fair. Not seeing much in the way of cloud cover, rainfall, or anything like that. Definitely dry days. It's the dry season. It is expected for sure. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure. Just subscribe today that you don't miss out, especially considering that they are planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today just in case. Taking a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the CIMH, that stands for the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. This map does indeed paint a picture of where we had the rainfall today, definitely across eastern and northern portion of the island during the early morning hours. Then during the afternoon, we definitely had that rainfall across Westmoreland and section of northwestern St. Elizabeth, even maybe inland areas of some central parishes for sure. Pretty sure if we look closely, we can see those clouds, inland areas right here, maybe northern Manchester, northern Clarendon. Maybe not some intense rainfall like what Westmoreland or northwestern St. Elizabeth got, but there were definitely some clouds over those spots. And we have at least one comment here from one of our followers on our Instagram page at Panton Giovanni, stating sunny in Spanish Town for Monday morning. And if we take a look at the latest image, the latest still imagery, as a matter of fact, from the Weather News website, let us see what's happening right now. Not seeing much of anything. All we're seeing is some milky whitish colors off to the west of the island. Not seeing much in the way of cloud cover or rainfall at all. And if we match all of what we just saw to the latest Cuban Doppler radar imagery, if it will show, alright, doesn't seem like it wants to show at all, but we see that the Cuban Doppler radar glitched out today at around 4 p.m. and we're indeed getting on some rainfall for sure. Look at this. We see some rainfall out to sea to the west of us. We can even see some activity maybe across Westmoreland at that time. Let's see what's happening on the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery. Not see much of anything across eastern Cuba, western Haiti, or northeastern Jamaica. But if we take a look here at the Cayman radar, not seeing much across the Cayman Islands, western Jamaica, or southern Cuba. But we do see some sprinkles of showers right here to the northwest of the Cayman Islands. And if we take a look at the latest here from the Cayman radar, we can definitely make out, not the Cayman radar, if we take a look right here at the Crossroads cam, we can see that it is definitely fair tonight across Crossroads. Not seeing much of anything in terms of bad weather, definitely dry times as we speak. People in their vehicles going about their business, people walking about going about their business as well. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we're 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Tuesday, temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18th on Tuesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight orange colors. That represents up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperature for the month of January across Jamaica is around 86.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius, that's about 30.2 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 32.2 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Tuesday. And unfortunately, we have some maintenance outage advisories here that we have to highlight, and we have to highlight them from my JPS Online Twitter page, because you know that when we have power outages, it can definitely make the heat even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So unfortunately, in the parish of St. James, we have Pasture Drive, Milky Way, and Portobello from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Tuesday, January 21, 2025. We also have Darlington Drive in St. Catherine for 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have Litchfield from 11:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. as well. We have Corn Peace in Hayes, that's in Clarendon, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have Ponton Road and Christopher Road, as well as Wireless Station Road in St. Andrew from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. We have Aleppo to Elliott, as well as Newarks in St. Mirror from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We have Clifton in Hanover from 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we finally have Byron Road in St. Andrew from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you live or work in those areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in those areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual, so share them and get them done. It states here: dress down, wear lightweight clothing, and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine, as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of drinking lots of water throughout the day. Put away the sugary drinks, drink water instead. Taking a look here at the dry air map. We know we have to highlight the dry air map because when we have dry air over the basin, it can definitely put a cap on the bad weather or the rainy weather in general. So definitely stable atmosphere. Not seeing much in the way of rainfall these days at all. We know the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can clearly see an abundance of dry air stretching all across the main development region through the Caribbean as we speak. But we're indeed grateful that we don't have that Saharan dust. This is the Saharan dust for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, and we can see some slight browns that represent the Saharan dust across sections of the main development region, because the Caribbean, Northern South America, Central America, and North America, as well as the Bahamas, are going to be in the clear for that time. And we're indeed grateful that all of this is not pushing westward at all. And we're also grateful that it's not that vigorous of a plume, because we know when we have the vigorous plumes of dust, that can definitely, cause hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons, asthma, sinusitis, you name it. So we're indeed grateful for that. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, not seeing much change at all. Clearly, we have a lot of high waves in the forecast. Look at this. Across the seas of the Caribbean, lots of purples for sure. Also in the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. Look at this to the south of Jamaica, up to 2.8 meter wave heights. The north coast, right here, let's see the north coast, up to at least 1 meter wave height. And that's because of what's going to be happening with the winds. Clearly to the north of Jamaica, we have, well, not so strong winds, up to 11 knots. But clearly to the south of us, look at all of those yellows. 21 knots, all the way gusting up to 25 knots to the far south of us for sure. And we see that general flow across the Caribbean from the east. But look at this, some strong northerly to northwesterly flow across the northwestern Gulf. Very interesting. Either way, regarding the close-up of Jamaica, we can clearly see those strong winds to our south or on our south coast for sure. Some of these strong winds will definitely be affecting our southern parishes. Not so much on the north coast at all. We're going to be receiving up to at least 11 knots. And look at where the air is piling up, by the way, across sections of western parishes. So whatever comes off of the sea from the east could come into sections of eastern Jamaica, especially during the morning as usual. And then during the afternoon, maybe we have that air piling up across western Jamaica. Maybe some daytime heating, bring about some isolated shores. But the air is so dry these days, definitely difficult for that to happen either way. Of the upper level winds coming in more so from the west northwest. So who knows, maybe it might favor those areas, especially across the southern parishes in Jamaica. Taking a look at the rainfall forecast for tomorrow, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 5 a.m. on Tuesday. And we can see the blues represent rainfall where across sections of some northeastern parishes, maybe sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, maybe far eastern St. Thomas. We see the blues, and we see that on both the Euro and the GFS models. But look at this, we're looking now at the 4 p.m. forecast. This is across the island at that time, and we can clearly see the blues that represent some rainfall across western Jamaica for sure. That's where the consensus is. The Euro trying to incorporate that area to the north of Maypen, maybe northeastern Clarendon, northwestern St. Catherine. GFS trying to show something similar. We'll see exactly what unfolds if western Jamaica actually gets in on some amount of isolated shores. We see even the Euro incorporating far eastern St. Thomas, but not so much on the GFS at all. Either way, clearly the most in the way for rainfall across the island should be plaguing eastern Jamaica again. Clearly that's going to be the early morning rainfall. The Euro showing all the way up to 0.41 or 0.14 or more, up to 0.3 of an inch of rainfall or more. The GFS a bit more reserved, up to 0.06 of an inch. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Whatever happens, I'll keep you posted on our other social media platforms. Either way, we're in the month of January and we usually receive less rainfall across Kingston, whose bar grass is being shown right here at the top. We usually receive up to 20 millimeters of rainfall. That's close to an inch of rainfall. In Montego Bay, we usually receive up to 3 inches of rainfall. That's about 75 millimeters of rainfall. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the month of January or for the entire year in terms of rainfall, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. So you do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have some low-level patches of clouds, even some mid-level patches of clouds pushing through the Caribbean. Definitely having some rainfall within those clouds for sure. We also have the frontal system doing a number in Florida, the northern Bahamas, western Cuba, and the Yucatan as we speak. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images down there, let's see what's happening right now. Let's reload the Doppler radar quickly. Let's see what's happening over across the northeastern Caribbean as we speak. Is it gonna load from it? Doesn't seem like it. Either way, taking a look here at the Barbados radar, not seeing much happening across Barbados right now. That doesn't mean we can't get some sprinkles coming in from the east northeast tonight. You can also see some sprinkles coming in from the east northeast toward Dominica, Martinique, gonna be getting in some rainfall if they're not already getting in on some of that now. So too sections of St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines already getting that. So too Grenada, Tobago, some of this already affecting Trinidad. Let's see what's happening across the northeastern Caribbean. Actually, I'm not seeing much at all. We do see some isolated shores across maybe St. John's, Montserrat, Guadeloupe. Loading these images from earlier today, we can see some rainfall passing through northern and western Puerto Rico. Taking a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, some rainfall passing through the ABC Islands. Where did it go? Okay, here we go. So the ABC Islands definitely getting in on some isolated shores today. Some rainfall to the east of Nicaragua pushing westward. Some rainfall across northern Guatemala, sections of Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula. Some rainfall pushing from west to east across southern Florida, northern or northwestern Cuba for sure. And if we take a look at where most of the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, clearly both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus that the most rainfall over the next 24 hours should be plaguing section of Nicaragua, Costa Rica right there, section of the Yucatan, Belize, northern Guatemala, Honduras. We can also see sections of Florida, southern Florida, that is getting us some amount of rainfall too. Sections of western Colombia, northern Venezuela, the ABC Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, coastal areas of Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, the Windward Islands, anywhere from Grenada northward, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, sections of St. Lucia, Guadeloupe northward as well, so maybe Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, section of northeastern Puerto Rico, eastern Dominican Republic for sure. And we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast, and we know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for